Hello and welcome. Today we are going to be moving this little lamb into multiple locations. First thing we need to do is start a new document. We're going to make this an Instagram story. And we're going to click open. Now we have our page. First thing we need to do is bring in our little fuzzy buddy, our little lamb, and his mother. First step is to remove the mother. We're going to use the marquee tool to select that lamb, and then we're going to select the inverse, and we're going to delete mama. Maybe you can right click and hit delete, or hit alternate and delete. But now our little lamb is all alone. Now it's time to cut out or mask that little fluffy buddy of ours. It's very important that we use the right tool, because otherwise we do the opposite of what we want. Let's fix that. Now we're gonna bit by bit lasso and remove some of that hay. But we're not going to touch that little lamb. He's our buddy. Now that we've got some of the bigger bits out of the way, we're going to switch tools. And we're going to use the brush mask tool, not just the brush tool, but the brush mask tool. And we're going to make sure that it's a soft brush, because we've got a soft, fluffy little friend. And we're not going to get too close yet. It's kind of like a haircut. Now we're doing some more of the fine details. Get all around his little feet there. Make sure we get his ears. Now he's nice and fluffy and all alone. As a matter of fact, let's do this little guy a favor. Let's make him triplets. Now he's got little brothers and sisters. Actually, they're all exactly the same size. And they're probably either brothers or sisters, but not both, because they are exactly the same. But we're going to rename them 1, 2, and 3 so that we can tell them apart in the future. It's always a good plan to name your layers, although sometimes I do forget. And now it's time to bring in some environments to send our little lamb buddies to. I have selected the moon and a jungle and a desert, probably on Tatooine, which is very nice this time of year. So now I'm going to be working on my layout. I want to get all of these environments laid out nice and even on my document. And I'm also going to make sure that my background layers, which I just brought in, are underneath my object layers, which are my little lambs. Now I can see them, and I will put each lamb into his respective location. But they are not alone. Now the next problem is making them appear like they belong in this situation, not just little woolly cutouts. So I'm going to resize them. And I'll also be thinking about where is the light coming from. So in this case, I reverse that lamb and flip him around, because the sunlight is coming from the right side, at least based on that astronaut. Now I've got him roughly in the right position. And we're going to use the mask again, because those little hind legs don't make sense. They should be behind the astronaut's arm. So we will erase them. Don't worry, it doesn't hurt. now it is time to bring this little woolly buddy into the jungle. The tricky thing about this picture is that there is a foreground and a background, meaning there is stuff that would appear to be in front of the lamb, as well as stuff that would appear to be behind the lamb. But how do we make that convincing if the lamb is pasted on top of the background? We are going to do some very strategic and clever erasing. But so that we know how to erase, we're going to make that lamb a little bit invisible. And then we're going to erase the lamb wherever there should be something in front of it. And please remember to try this at home. It's okay to make mistakes sometimes. Remember, we are trying to erase the object. We are not changing the background. The active layer will always be highlighted. That is where the changes are made. Is your mind being blown? And now when I bring the transparency back up, the leaves appear to be in front. Almost like he was there all along. Now this little lamb almost looks ready to go, except I've noticed that with this lighter color background, my cutout was not as good as I thought, so I'm going to clean that up by masking out some more with a tiny, soft brush. There, now he is ready for his close-up. Now that we have the lamb positioned, you still might notice that he just doesn't seem to belong in the picture. Why? Because the lamb was recorded on another day, in another place. So we are going to copy that lamb, and then we will adjust the copy of the lamb, of the color. We're going to use some magic tricks. It's gonna be cool. So first I take that lamb and I duplicate him. I make a copy of him. It still looks like one lamb, but now it is two. The lamb on top, I just used color lookup. He is now black and orange, but that does not look like it matches the picture. So I will change the black and I will change it to match the black from the picture. And I will change that orange and I will find the lightest color. So now he appears to be a black and white lamb, but the black and the white both match the picture. I'm also going to select a mid-tone, and I'm going to match that to the astronaut suit, a nice middle gray area. And I can adjust those sliders so that I don't lose too much detail. Now he's starting to look at home, but of course, he should have some of his natural color. He is not a black and white lamb after all. So I'm going to play around with the overlay options. In some situations, blend modes. One might work better than another. Overlay is good sometimes. Sometimes soft light is good. Sometimes hue is good. It depends on what you're trying to do. But then you also might want to play with the transparency to help it blend in better with the previous picture. So we are going to basically repeat this process 2 more times. One for the jungle and one for the desert. I'm gonna go get some coffee, but you can watch me work if you want to. I had a little trouble here applying the fill, but it doesn't need to be perfect. All we're doing is imitating the shadow. It's important that we notice how the shadow is behaving for other objects, and that we try to match it. But it doesn't have to be perfect. Flipping the image around will be very helpful, as well as paying attention to where the object and the ground meet and making sure that there is a shadow there. With some trial and error, you should be able to make something that is fairly convincing. I hope you enjoy sending your little lamb buddy on many adventures to distant and sometimes bizarre locations. Just remember, if you can send this lamb to the moon, there is nothing you cannot do with some creativity, practice, and patience. See you next time.